Yes, indeed. Monday is the first official work day of the week. And of course, it is still the Monday broadcast of our programming right here on Flow 94.9 FM. This is the flow of God's zone. Still, we call it Morning Spice. And this is the discussion segment, the pinnacle of all discussions, the platform. We take a look at those critical issues, we dissect them so that we can make better decisions in the nearest future. And of course, it is our way of staying on issues so that we can find lasting solutions to some of those issues. We have a lot of them troubling us in this country. Now, this morning, we're talking education. We're looking at the Asuu crisis and the looming strike. There is a looming strike, in case you do not know. So welcome on board. Thank you very much for joining us for those streaming. Thank you. We're live on Facebook, facebook.com/flow949fm. So Nigerian universities is set to shut down as the Academic Staff Union of Universities is threatening shutdown. The Asuu hinted at the possibility of impending industrial action. The national leadership of the union directed its members nationwide to declare lecture-free day, today being Monday, the 7th of February, in preparation for a possible showdown with the Nigerian government. We also are aware of the multiple circulars issued by various branches of Asuu announcing the decision, noting that the lecture-free day will be used to sensitize the university communities and the general public on the failure of the government to honor an agreement the parties entered into, that was in December 2020, which led to the suspension of a 9-month prolonged strike then. And we're asking this morning, how long are we going to continue with this issue of Asuu coming up with a strike action today, being shelved after stakeholders coming in to calm the parties down, then tomorrow they are coming up? When is federal government going to attend to the issue of education in this country and take it serious? Anyways, joining me is Professor Uzochukwu Onyebinama. He's joining virtually via telephone this morning. We're expecting the national president of Asuu, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, live in the studio. But let's begin the conversation with Professor Uzochukwu Onyebinama. Prof, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on the platform on Flow FM.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, thank you. My name is Michael. So let's begin. It's quite unfortunate we're at this point again. How long are we going to continue this back and forth between the education stakeholders, especially those in the umbrella of Asuu, and the federal government?
Well, as long as the federal government continues to renege on agreements, the back and forth will continue, because we don't think there's any other language that the governments can understand. So as long as they enter into agreements willingly and then refuse to honor those agreements, then we have to resort to strike, which is a last resort.
Should we say the lecturers do not love the students enough to be going on strike every now and then?
Well, I think the strike that we embark on is in the best interest of our students.
Okay.
Most students don't have facilities to do their studies. For instance, now, most universities don't have adequate hostels for students, and the students are left at the behest of Shylock landlords who exploit the gap to exploit the students. So, if in fact our activities are geared towards making the universities a conducive learning environment for students and a conducive working environment for lecturers.
Maybe we should break it down for us. I forgot to mention that Professor Uzochukwu is the Owerri chairman for Abia State University. They're talking about Asuu. Owerri zone chairman, rather.
Owerri zonal
coordinator. Thank you. So, what is the situation for universities in the Owerri zone?
Well, the same. In fact, I heard you say that the National Executive Council of Asuu has directed branches nationwide to have a lecture-free week today. That information is not exactly correct.
Okay.
Branches are having activities to sensitize their members on different days. Probably there may be 1 or 2 branches that are having that activity today. It's not a national directive. So I think that's an erroneous information that I saw online last night.
Okay.
So I just want to correct
thank you for clarifying that. Very important.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes.
So what is the situation? Can you break it down for us? What we have in the universities in this zone, or where is zone?
Yes, in a Owerri zone, we are also sensitizing our members because we are having our NEC meeting next weekend. In fact, this weekend that is coming up. And we have tried to give the federal government benefit of doubt. We have also tried to respect the interventions of some well-meaning Nigerians, especially the leadership of NIREC. But we have heard on news that what NIREC got from federal government is an pledge to honor our agreements, and we know better than that. So in Owerri zone, the branches have also been sensitizing members. Perhaps there may be a strike arising from our NEC meeting this weekend. Perhaps not. That will depend on the mood of that NEC meeting. In Owerri branch, Nnamdi Azikiwe University Awka has had their sensitization. Futo has had. Tomorrow it will be the turn of Umudike and Imo State University, and the following day it will be Koyu. These are the universities that make up Owerri zone. So we are also sensitizing our members to alert them that this may happen. And if this is going to happen, we all have to be ready.
Okay, I'm so worried about the students because if definitely their teachers go on strike, the education sector in the tertiary institutions will be in a state of comatose. Quite unfortunate. Yes. What will be their case?
Well, the students have no case. What they should do is to join us in the struggle, because during our student days, we were the ones taking up the struggle for ourselves. But these days, the Students' Union in Nigeria is comatose, and they have left the battle alone to lecturers. So we think that the students should join us so that we can get this matter done once for all.
Why do you say you're fighting for the students? You mentioned that during the start of this program that it will also benefit them, because I understand it's about your salary, revitalization, and some other issues that you've been fighting for donkey years with the federal government.
Okay, you see, all the issues in this struggle arise from our 2009 Asuu FGNA agreement.
2009?
Yes, 2009. Wow. That agreement is almost 13 years old. And since 2009, the federal government has not completely or fully implemented the components of that agreement. And the components include funding for revitalization of universities. You will recall there was a needs assessment that was carried out for public universities in Nigeria. And that needs assessment indicated what needs to be done. And from the estimate of government, 1.3 trillion naira was needed. And the government then committed 200 billion naira, and now and scheduled to offset the balance yearly at a rate of 220 billion yearly. As we speak now, the 220 billion for the next installment has not been fully paid. The government is just paying some fractions of that money, and that is one of the reasons why we are saying we can no longer continue that way. The funds are losing value given our current exchange rate, and so the government needs to do something substantial to address the infrastructure in the universities. Also, that agreement also took care of the salary structure of academic staff. And since 2009 to date, we have been earning the same salary. And we think that the salary we are earning has been overtaken by the rate of inflation and by the devaluation of the exchange rate. And so we also think that a renegotiation of that agreement, which has been completed since May 19th, 2020, should be reviewed by government. If they accept the components of that agreement, then they should come to the table and sign that agreement, and so that we can have a new salary and have a new lease of life. There are also other issues in that agreement that the government has not implemented. These issues have been there since 2009.
All right. I want to really appreciate you this time for joining us this morning, Professor Uzo Onyebinama.
Actually, it's Dr. Uzo Onyebinama.
Okay, Dr. Onyebinama. That should be the fault of my producer. I do appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining this morning on the platform.
Thank you very much.
Return to you as the event unfolds as far as the looming strike is concerned.
It's okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, in case you just joined us, it is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the Flow of God's own state. We're talking education this morning, and we're so concerned about this looming strike in the education sector that will affect our public tertiary institutions. Quite unfortunate. We're back at this point again. What is going on in the education sector? And university lecturers are heading for another strike over the renegotiated 2009 agreement with the federal government. And there are indications that the National Executive Council of the Academic Staff Union of Universities will meet on the 14th of February to review the implementation of some components of the agreement and decide on industrial action. And it was learned that the renegotiated agreement has 5 components. We will delve into that, break it down for you, and do the analysis so that we can have an idea to whose interest is this strike. Is it for the lecturers or for the students or probably for the government? Joining me this morning is the National President of the Academic Staff Union of University, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke. Prof, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you too.
All right. We understand you have another engagement at the moment, but thanks for granting us this brief space. So we shall be quick as possible. The union has declared today as lecture free, although there is a bit of a misinfo about that, according to my last speaker, to mobilize for a massive action against the government. What are we expecting after today?
Thank you very much. The union at national level permitted branches to organize one-day congresses and mobilize our members, and after which they talk to the students, talk to the public on the state of our agreement with government. So it is not the same days, but the days vary. And the major issue is that we are trying to do what we have been doing. Strike for Asuu is the last option when every other options have been exhausted, and I think we are almost there. We have done everything. We have met with government, video platform. We met with the Speaker of the National House of Assembly, and they promised, and we reached an agreement that they were going to implement all the issues, including setting up a tripartite platform to enable them look at the agreement, the issue arising from the agreement, and have it signed. Okay. Today, it was never done. We met with the Chief of Staff on the same thing. We met with the Minister of Labour on the same issue.
Wow. And
nothing happened. So in November, we were about to take decision on this issue of strike or whatever action to take. Then the NIREC, Nigerian Interreligion Council, is stepping, and we, as a religious body or the leadership of the religious body, we stepped down for them. That they requested for time, and we gave them that time, and actually they've done their best. They met with the president, and the president directed a team made up of the Chief of Staff, the Minister of Labour, and Minister of Education to quickly step on this issue. But till now, they've not contacted us. Those 3 people that were asked to ensure that the issue is resolved quickly have not contacted us. So and that is why we are mobilizing our members. We are meeting soon. It's a statutory meeting.
Okay.
And we are getting information from our members, mobilizing them and the public, and telling them what the government is doing again, and that issue can be resolved as quickly as possible if government is serious about resolving them.
You say if government is serious about it. Are you saying from the previous negotiation you've had with the government, the representative of the government, has the government not been serious with some of the promises?
The agreement we are talking about is 2009. 2009, and we're in 2022, which is 13 years ago. If a government have not implemented it fully, agreement over 13 years period, does it show seriousness? In 2020, we went on strike for about 9 months, and we signed an MOA. MOA shows that every item have a timeline.
Okay.
All the timeline were exhausted in 2021. Until now, nothing has happened in most of those timelines. Will you take them serious? So that's the issue.
Let's look at some of those contentious issues again for the benefit of our listener. One will be asking, just to refresh our memory on some of those issues that you've raised, those contentious issues from 2009 till date. We must have forgotten some of these issues.
Okay. Thank you very much. One of the issues there is the issue of revitalization fund. Okay. In 2009, we had an agreement that there's a need to revitalize our university. That Let me give you an example. Our university today, you don't see any foreign lecturer teaching our university. It's going to be universality. That is lecturer.
That's in our public
universities, yes, even in private. Which what that means is that anybody in the world can teach in a university in Abia State. In Abia State University, you have people from America, from Europe, and what have you. You have in other universities. Nigerians are
visitation?
No, full time.
Full time.
Yes, Nigerians are teaching today in any country you go in the world. You see Nigerian lecturer teaching in Ghana, in America, in Europe, everywhere. So we also expect those people to come in. When I was a student in Rivers State University of Science and Technology, then my department had 3 lecturers for 4 countries: Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Poland, and another one country in the Western Europe. 4 in one department. But today you don't have any foreigner because an average professor today at the bar earn about $700 a month. When in other country they earn to $7,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. So that is why they are not coming in. So we negotiated, and between there and now, that salary is still on, which is against all rules. That agreement, it was agreed that every 3 years there will be a renegotiation of the agreement. It's 13 years has not been done. So at that agreement, we also found out that our universities are in a dilapidated state, and that there is a need to revamp it. Government decided to set up that they need assessment panel to go around our university to look at whether what we are saying is correct. And they came up with a report, not like need assessment report. Very damning. In one of the first generation university, that is first sector university, established in 60, they were using stove as a bossy burner. For those chemistry will tell you, the bossy burner is a special equipment for that. They are using stove. We went to a state university, one of the state university, the first state university. We had 16 female students in one room, staying in one room. 16. Each of them had a stove. You can imagine the health situation of that. And so for our students having lecture in a stadium, on open air, in a modern university. So we agree, that thing recommended that federal government should over 5 years release the sum of 1.3 trillion naira to the university to solve this problem.
That's the issue of infrastructure.
Yes, in 2013 we went on strike again, and during Jonathan, and we had a 14-hour meeting with him, and we agreed that money will be released 200,000 naira in 2013, and over the next 5 years they will release 200 billion. It was never done. Then we have issue of then as we were doing that, they introduced what they call as IPs in this salary payment system, which is not working. IPPIS.
Okay.
Which is not working.
And that's another contentious issue.
Yes, which is not working. If you are ready,
why are you saying it is not working?
You see, government.
The government came out and said it is to stop fraud and have a transparent system of paying the lecturers, and it looks like the lecturers are kicking against it.
Thank you very much. I will expect your station to try, and I will send a copy to you. Read the Auditor General of the Federation report on IPs for 2020, where they were busy fraudulently collecting money from the people. The project Nigeria paid money to buy in 2007, as at 2013 they say still work in progress, where they are using only one pin for one person to pay 100 people, where they are paying 24 million euro per annum for a program. As I speak to you, many of our colleagues for the past 2 years have not been paid salary by IPs. A vice chancellor cannot discipline his staff again, because once you punish a staff, you sack him, he goes to IPs and do 1 or 2 things, and he keep on getting his salary. That is the IPs we talked about. And we have challenged government. Is there any country you will mention in the world where salaries of lecturers are paid from the office of the Accountant General? There is none in the world. Why are we exception? Universities are independent, and we have a law in this country that say that any document from the ministry in a university is null and void. But they have forced that on the system. But we as a union of intellectuals, and we bought it, every year Nigeria pay money to the international community for that program. And we as intellectuals, lecturers, we can solve any problem. We say give us 3 months, we'll give you alternative, known as University Transparency and Accountability Solution, which we have done, UTAS, which we have given to the government. They said they want to test. We said go ahead. They did the test, and from their own, the government testing our own. That is, you have to, ordinarily it should be a private person that should test. But we are seeing that because we don't have anything to hide. And they tested, and from their report, it was about 30 and 80% positive. And for any solution, you can ask the computer people, any solution that have 80% positive is a pass. And you should implement it while you are correcting those other minor things that are there. But they say it should not be used. But when we went through their report, we found out that it was just a mess.
Well, we understand that it is just to root out some fraudulent activities happening in the education system in terms of salary payment. we have some lecturers that will be receiving salary, that are receiving salaries from two different universities.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you very much. All over the world, there is a word known as sabbatical leave. All over the world, any university in the world, whether it's Oxford, a lecturer will teach for 6 years. You go to another university to get experience, to give your knowledge, and it's like a leave. When you are leave, you are paid, is it not?
Yeah, yes.
So you are paid. So it's not a fraud. You have adjunct lectureship. Asuu is running a course in medicine. Michael Okpara is running a course in medicine. Therefore, only reason the lecturer in MYU resigned and left. You can't leave the student alone. You have to go to your neighbor university to come, and we make him an adjunct or visiting lecturer. He comes once in a while to teach and go back, and you are paying him for that teaching. It's also done every part of the world. As you are seeing me, I do that in Ghana and in Mali, and I'm paid by the German government for doing that job, because it's called visiting.
Okay.
And it's all over the world. It's not fraud. And that's what we are saying, that these people are not, they don't know what they are doing. As we speak, so if you have read the NUC report, it indicated that Nigeria as of today have only 100,000 lecturers in the private, state and federal universities, which is abnormal. And you have for every one lecturer, you have up to 30 to 50 students. When the ratio should be 1 lecturer to 12 students, as you have in the world. In Oxford, it's 1 to 5 students. We don't have 1 lecturer to 50 students. And most of these lecturers they are mentioning now, the best brain are leaving because of what this IPC is doing. What they have done is to centralize corruption. IPC now have been centralized. This room of correction. You sack a lecturer in YU and he leaves. You go and do 1 more 2 in IPC. I keep on getting the salary. That is the home of corruption. And that Auditor General report, 258-page document, will tell you the corruption in IPC. And we have created a solution that we believe will solve this problem. And they said it's called 80%. And we will find out that those who they say they didn't pass, that they just went to somebody work that was done long ago, lifted what they have said is wrong there, and pasted it as part of the report from us. And we have found that.
So, as we speak today, which of the platforms are the lecturers being paid from?
We don't know.
But you receive your salary?
Yes, they receive what I received what looked like salary.
What looked like salary?
Before I pieced, my salary was about 500,000 naira a month. Now it's 300,000. So we don't call it salary. So a professor, 850,000.
Under the new
IPs, so-called IPs. So that is it. It's fraud, and you can ask anywhere from the police, from the army, that is exactly what is going on.
Interesting. It is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM. It is the flow of God's own state. We're speaking with the national president of the Association of Universities, Association of Academic Staff Universities, of course. And we're looking at the nationwide strike. Asuu is warming up, and what are the lecturers saying? What are their grievances? That's what we're looking at, even as we're speaking with the national president of Asuu, Academic Staff Union of Universities, rather. And some of these issues you've raised this morning, I understand that you're also clamoring for the autonomy of universities. Am I correct?
Yes.
Why?
We are not clamoring.
Okay.
There's already a law, the University Miscellaneous Autonomous Miscellaneous Act of 2010 or so, have given that autonomy to the university.
Why should the universities be on their own? The government built these universities. They should have an idea of what is going on in the universities. The reason why they also appoint the pro-chancellors and the chancellors. So why are the lecturers clamoring to be?
You have misunderstood what the autonomy is.
Okay, maybe you should.
The autonomy means that university, as is constituted, should run on its own, and that as constituted is made up of it's made up of the following: the visitor, who is the president of Nigeria for Federal University and governor in state university, the governing council, which is a body set up by the government also to run the university based on the law of the university, then the Senate. These are the 3 structures. So when we say autonomy, the only way the government can interfere in the university is through the council set up by it, not from the ministry. You understand? The council is there with how the university should be run, appointed with members from government and the university to run the university. Therefore, a PAMSEC cannot, from the Ministry of Education, interfere in what is happening in the university. The head of service cannot interfere in what happens in university. Traditional rulers cannot interfere in what university, and contractor cannot. That is the autonomy. Autonomy are set up as the law of the university says. That one, you have the visitor. For the visitor to intervene in the system, he has to set up a visitation panel once in 5 years. Not to every day say change the pro-chancellor, change the vice chancellor. No, we are interfering according to the law. So you set up a panel, and if the panel found anybody guilty, you deal with him. Then you have a governing council that will meet once in a while to set up policy for the university to run. And then you have the Senate and the administration to implement the policy. That is the autonomy we talked about. But what do you have today? It's when the state university, a governor wake up one morning and say, I've sacked the vice chancellor. The law didn't permit you because of that autonomy.
So it's wrong according to the law.
To the law by the same government to say for a president or a governor to say, I have sacked a vice chancellor, you don't have the power. By the law. For the government to say...
The governor appoints the vice chancellor.
Yes, according to law.
Okay.
The governor is not the state. The president is not the country. Just like the president cannot just wake up and say, I've sacked a governor. Can he?
It's not possible.
That is it, because there's a law that says the governor is an independent state. Although they get money from the same source. But it's an independent state, therefore you cannot interfere in it. The law also permits that the governor cannot just wake up and say, I sacked the Speaker of the House of Assembly. He cannot. Because they have the autonomy. That is the autonomy of the university. But today, you are having that encroachment with this IPs. That Office Accountant General, in the council, the panel, there's committees that look at finance and accounting committee.
Okay.
They're supposed to run the account of the university. Every year they make a budget. And if at the end of the year they don't implement that budget from including payment of salary, you punish that committee. You don't punish the staff. Is it possible for only one unit in Federal Ministry of Finance to be paying salary to everybody in the country? It's not possible. You don't be efficient. And today we are paying the price. The lecturers are leaving. The doctors are leaving. You saw them. Doctor queuing up in a Saudi embassy. Don't run away because of these IPs.
Are you saying the lecturers are also leaving?
They are leaving. They are leaving in droves. Go to Ghana, go to Benin. They are leaving. And that's why the NUC said it very clearly that today you have only 100,000 lecturers in Nigerian universities, from the private to state,
which is a far cry from what is
from
needed.
What it should be. We should not have. We should have no less than 200,000. You should not. But you are killing the system.
Where did we get it wrong? It looks like the education sector is in a state of emergency, even though the government is yet to declare that.
Let me tell you
with
from
the
start.
Picture you're painting.
Let me tell you from the start, which they have succeeded in doing. Do you still have private primary school, public primary school and secondary school? They have been killed. They have been killed. How many people will send their children to those primary schools? They have been killed.
Public primary school.
And secondary school, they have been killed. And captured now by the private sector, who are doing whatever they like. You now see some schools, all the students will make credit in all the science subjects. But to get the entire university, they cannot pass one subject. So that is exactly what they want to do with university. Today, we have almost 90 to 100 private universities and about 89 public universities. And they don't have students because of our struggle. Any day we let down the struggle, people will move. They are even trying that. Now the National Assembly is proposing a law that will make it compulsory for every student to go and take a loan from a bank to pay their fee. Therefore, federal government should introduce fee. These students will go to the bank to take a loan to pay their fee. The law is ongoing, and we are also countering it. If that law passes, which means a young student, start from 100 level, do a 5-year course, you take a loan of 1 million, by the time you are graduating, you are already owing 7 million.
And in Nigeria, you're learning on credit.
Yes, and Nigeria, there are no jobs for those people. So it takes you 10 years to get a job, and the interest of the loan is mounting. By the time you get a job, you are owing 20 million. The country where they have happened in the past, we have investigated, many of those students commit suicide. You got your first job that pay you 100,000, and you are owing 20 million. How are you going to survive in life? So that is what we are doing. The struggle is to ensure that the public university do not die.
No, your fight, yes. Professor Sodeke, yes. Your fight, is it with the federal government or the state government also? Because they are also stakeholders. I mean, the state government, they are also stakeholder in this issue. We have state universities, but you've talked about maybe the federal government here. We've talked about the federal universities that we have. What about the state government?
Our struggle is the same thing. When we measure federal government, mostly when you hear our talk, because all the federal universities have one visitor. the president.
Okay.
But the state university have 36, 30 what? 30, you have 36 states,
36
have
states.
36 visitors.
Yes.
That's why we would mention federal government because it's just only one visitor. But what we are saying at the federal is same thing as the state. Our struggle is for the federal and the state. By the time federal government start these IPs, some states have started developing their own, which is wrong. Let your state university make a budget for the salary for the 1 year, defend it. At the end of the year, they explain to the National State Assembly what they have done with that money. That is salary. But now, IPs and Ministry of Finance, they pay what they like. Nobody knows what they paid. They don't give account. Is that how we want to run the country? If we are not careful, if this trend continues, in the next 5 to 6 years, these private people would have captured private university where out of 200 students, 2,000 students graduating, 200 will get first class. Where does that happen in the world?
Maybe they worked hard, Professor.
Are they harder than Oxford? Are they harder than Oxford University? Is there any university in the world where 1% of the students will get first class? There's none. But in Nigeria, 20% will get first class. Something is wrong. We are talking of worldwide. Those private universities, they are not better than this Oxford, Cambridge. They are not better. But is there any of them where 10% of the students will get first class? Which means something is happening here. To attract students, give them first class, more students will come, get more money. Simple. That's what we're happening.
All right. It is still the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions right here on Flow 94.9 FM. We're talking education. I have been speaking with the National President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, and Asuu is warming up for another nationwide strike. Very soon I will be throwing the lines open. But before I throw the lines open, you mentioned about the infrastructural deficit that we have in the universities, especially where we have a large number of students being attended to by the little resources in terms of infrastructure, the buildings, and also the lecturers. But we've seen a situation where state governments are creating more universities, maybe to solve this situation you've painted this morning, and you've also shared with us this morning on the program. Do you think that is the lasting solution? Just recently, Abia State government announced the upgrading of some institutions to tertiary institutions, to universities. I don't know if that will be the lasting solution to this issue of infrastructural deficit that you've mentioned this morning.
If you check the issue in our agreement with government, MOA,
yes,
is that NUC law should be reviewed by the National Assembly to make it difficult for governors to create universities.
Why?
Because what you are doing is not a constituency project. I am a governor. I must put a university in my village before I go. That is what they are doing. They are not solving any problem. A university in Egypt have more than 200,000 students. One university in Egypt have more than 200,000 universities. There is no state university in Nigeria that have up to 20,000 students. 20,000, none. So why are you creating more universities? Why not invest that money in the university you already have and create spaces for students? In one place, do you have to have university in villages before it will start admitting students? Now, when you create 4 new universities, you have created 4 new bureaucracy. You have to pay 4 new vice chancellors, 4 new registrars, take care of 4 different governing councils, take care of 4 different sort of staff and what have you. You are creating more problems. You are reducing the fund. But if you invest that money in the university you already have, you create space for admission. Like I said, one university have up to 2,000 students. No university in Nigeria have up to 50,000 students. So what they ought to do is to use those money to their constituency project, not is funded. Like Abia that you mentioned, it's very clear. When was the last time people in Abia State University were paid salary? Investigate when they were paid salary. When was the last time was the Polytechnic, College of Education, Adochukwu, when were they paid salary? They have been owed almost 2 years salary. So when Abia Polytechnic, where have they been paid salary last? So if you cannot run one private university, what are you creating for? The same thing nationwide, Edo, Delta, and what have you? In one senatorial district, you have 4 universities. Just to make them, well, when I was a governor, I started 4 universities so that you can contest for Senate. I think that is wrong. Those who started the first set, when you go to Asuu, the first visitor who created that university, go and look at the structure he built. Those structures, once you enter Asuu and you enter that building, you can walk, whether it's raining or not, you can walk around all the university without a drain drop, because they plan it very well. Now, every new structure you have in Asuu and other state universities, especially in the southern part of Nigeria, were built by TED Fund, which we fought for in 1992. They have stopped funding the universities, and you are creating new ones. They are creating problem for the system. They are creating more problem for the system, because all these universities will collapse. Because when the next governors come in those states, they want to go and put in their own village.
Exactly.
What put in their own village?
Political.
Yes, proliferation. We call it constituency project they are doing now. So we are already working on that. We have drawn up the bill. We are still National Assembly. It's one of the issues in this our struggle we're talking about, to ensure that it's almost, if a governor is going to start a university, he should have a dedicated account with funds that can fund that university for 10 years before it is allowed to run.
So are you saying there is no going back with this strike that you're planning? If the federal government reneges and the federal government doesn't respond to all those agreements that you're fighting for right from 2009?
You see, there was a time a bank in this country had problem, and the central bank, an arm of the government, bail out that bank with 1.3 trillion. One bank, private bank. If you now have this crisis in university, and all you need is less than 500 to 600 billion, why can't you also do what you do to Polaris Bank and sort out this process? There is no strike, so that our children will have access to good education. Our children, we are also moving a bill that they should bring their children home. The reason they are doing this to our local education is that all their children are schooling abroad, where they pay 10,000 school fees. Let them bring their home. If their children are here, if the children of the governors are in our university, they will not abandon them. If the children of ministers are in the university, they will not abandon them. But they send their own to go and have good education, and you ensure the children of the ordinary man who earn 30,000 a month as salary do not have good education. It is bad, it is immoral.
But Prof, from the feedback I'm getting on my personal Twitter handle this morning, my followers are asking me, why is education expensive in Nigeria, especially in the public tertiary institutions, in the public universities? Why the hike? We have federal university where as much as 50,000, 70,000 is being paid. Why don't you also look at that as you're fighting for the lecturers and also the revitalization of the university system in the country?
Thank you very much. In the agreement which I asked the government to sign,
yes,
the process started in 2017 was when the process started. And the government leader then, the government team, as soon as there was the student who was put there, that every student will pay school fees of 1 million and go to bank to collect that money. That was what delayed the agreement, saying it can never happen. Nigerian students should not pay fees. Nigerians are not paying tuition fees. But we understand that some universities are actually introducing things that are not necessary. Which one, acceptance fee that have been removed now by the federal university, by the federal government, that you should not put because
some universities still call
they change the name.
Just to mention, Federal University of Oye Ekiti.
They change the name, yes, they will not change the name.
And some other universities in Nigeria.
So that's why we are saying we are doing what we are doing today. Mobilize the parent, the student. When we were students, no university can introduce school fees unnecessarily and we will not react. Today, what are the student union leaders doing? Somebody will come and say you should produce you should pay 50,000 as acceptance fee, and you accept, and you are elected by your people to take care of them. It won't happen in the 70s, 80s. There is one they call Ali Must Go in 1976 or so, or in early 80s, where the government then, he was the minister, introduced remove meal. That time we pay little upfront for me, and the student had a protest that Ali Must Go, the minister must, and it was removed. So today all the student union are just docile, moving that government house. SS1, that's what they do, wearing suit, driving between car, visiting one governor to another. When you should be taking care of your colleague who elected you, they accept anything. Why should a student be paid acceptance? Acceptance for what? I'm told in one university acceptance is 140,000. You pay for hostel automatically. You must pay for hostel. You must pay for development levy. You must pay for development levy. Pay for professional levy. Is that necessary? You know why they are doing it?
Why?
Because the governors are not, the visitors are not funding the university. They're not funding, they're spending money. They are not. So all the ascribing had to raise money from students to
fund the university,
to fund the
university,
which is not correct. What other countries are doing that you give a high percentage of your salary, of your income, of your budget to education, but here they put 6%, 5%, and you're having this problem. And this is a country where the average Nigerian earns less than 20,000 a month. I mean, average Nigerian. Forget those in the public service. There are lecturers in teachers in private school that are earning 10,000 a month. Person with a degree, 10,000, and you want that person to come and pay school fees of 1 million. How would they do it?
All right,
it's a class issue.
Let's get to hear from you this morning. It's a very interesting conversation I have had with the Prof. Of course, let's hear from you. What do you make of this issue with Asuu and the federal government? We've been speaking with the Asuu President, Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, on issues with the federal government and the looming strike. You can join the conversation 0808 182 6949, 0811 605 2949. You can also drop messages on 0906 510 8289. Also drop your message on our Facebook page. You are live on Facebook, facebook.com/Flow949FM. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Good morning, my brilliant lecturer. Good morning, sir. The Prof. Is he there?
Yes, he's here with me.
Thank you, Prof. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I remember Mr. Prince Melosuaku from Nachobo. Prof, I'm very, very grateful. You have already enlightened us on what is going on in the educational sector. May God bless you, my brother. Then the issue I'm talking of is this. In as much as I'm 100% in support of your strike, I'm urging you not to be like Labour, Nigerian Labour Congress, who jumped the gun. Never you jump this gun this time around. Continue this strike because there is no other source you can get this one except going on strike. Then on the other way around, please, I'm begging you, for the sake of our students, if this strike should be stopped, I believe it shouldn't be at this particular administration. Because since the inception of this, since the inception of Nigeria as a government, since we got independence, it is only one educated somebody like one graduate, that is Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, has ruled this nation, and he would have corrected this anomaly. The problem he had is that he didn't fix himself into that power. If he had fixed himself, I believe he would have done it. But for my own advice and my own opinion,
all right,
I would have advised the Asuu to form an elite party so that they should elect somebody, an educated somebody that will take care of all these their problems. But
all
for
right,
this administration,
Prince,
my brother, we are heading for nowhere. That's my thing.
Thank you for joining us. Hello, good morning to you. Welcome.
Hello?
Yes.
Good morning.
You're welcome. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Prof.
Hey, thank you.
My name is Richard. I'm coming from Moayo.
All right.
Goes there. Well, I want to really know if they are going on strike or not, so we can know our next line of action.
All right. Prof will respond to that. Thank you for your question. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Hi, my elder professor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zebala Kujo. I'm calling from Amama House.
All right.
Here in Abia. Fine. So, permit me to tell you something this morning. Unlike what Prince Way just said, let it not be like NLC. After saying doing all before you know it, they say that we have aborted this and we have done that. Please, sir, if you don't stand on your ground, education in Nigeria will vanish. And I'm interested in this your bill you are proposing. Let them, the politicians, let them return all their children down to public universities. And those who are in who are still in secondary school or primary school, let them go to secondary school owned by government in their respective states. Let them go to the primary school in their homes, in their villages. Let me see the reason why education, public institutions will die, because they have taken that stand by sending their students and work overseas for them to have better education. While the poor masses will be on the streets. The public institutions are now dilapidated because of these people. Thank you. I'm very, very interested in that bill. Go on, sir.
All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Hello, good morning to you.
Echo.
You're welcome. Good morning.
My name is Enoch.
You're welcome, Mr. Enoch.
It is quite unfortunate. Thank you. It is quite unfortunate and embarrassing that strike is a recurrent statement in institutions of higher learning in Nigeria, which invariably impedes academic progress. when government government at all levels enter into an agreement with us, which they know they will not implement, just to persuade the union to suspend strike at a particular time, they are merely delaying the strike, which will definitely be resurrected once again from time to time. Whatever they agree with the union, they should implement it in order that the issue of incessant strike will rest. It is not complimentary that Nigeria, the giant of Africa, is in this mess. Even as many Nigerians have now resorted to going to other African countries to continue their higher education. Such African countries should have seen Nigeria as a role model.
All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. I do appreciate you. Prof, are you going on strike? Because a student called and want to know his next line of action.
Well, what we are doing is sensitization for now.
Okay.
And warming up our members. We'll be meeting very, very soon, maybe next week, to look at all the issues and know the way forward. That is how we operate.
Okay.
So we have not declared a strike. What we are doing now is we are warming up.
Okay.
We are appealing to the government to implement what they have done to avoid disruption and that. Then people are raising another issue, but let me give you this.
Okay.
Why we are struggling? Why people keep on saying, my child has stayed too long in the university? In the 70s, 80s, you didn't hear a building collapsing in Nigeria any day. But today, there is no week a building does not collapse, even a 21-story building. That tells you that because we are producing graduates who didn't have an opportunity to have good practical knowledge because of no lack of infrastructure, those people are now heading up from this institute and they didn't have the practical knowledge, and we are all paying the price. We are all paying the price. So we must bring out our university. We also want to say that this issue of bring by your children should not be Asuu alone. Let the public also join to say bring back your children. When they come to campaign to you the next election, the first question you ask them, have you brought by your children? If it is no, don't vote for them. That is your right. Bring by your children. We'll produce a hashtag. All of us say bring by your children. So that if they come, the first question, where are your children schooling? If they are not schooling in this country, say we don't want you.
All right, let's get more reactions on our feedback platforms, the phone lines, the Facebook page, and also the SMS line. Honorable Noble Enyoko from Ohia says, on the state of education in Nigeria, I opine that the course content should be more, okay, I didn't get this. Okay, the content should be more entrepreneurial and skill acquisition on certification. All right, hello, good morning to you. Welcome to the platform on Flow FM.
Oh, good morning, Mike.
You're welcome.
Okay, it's a tough opportunity. I'm calling from Oman.
You're welcome, Mr. Chinedu.
Okay, I think the best thing to do is once you are being elected into a public office, the first thing to do is to ensure that you start using public facilities. The hospital, public hospital, you don't need to access hospital outside Nigeria. Education, attend public education, so that it will help to build our system. Because the way our politicians look at all these things is that they are meant for the people. And you can imagine how they just take the people. That is how they take everything public. The university lecturers are crying. Imagine, in fact, pity primary school and secondary school teachers in most states. You will use imagine their level, then pity these ones at the lower cadre. So I think the best thing to do to salvage the country is, once you are being elected into any public office, start assessing public facilities, no matter your level before you are being elected. Then coming to Asuu strike and the government, please let the Asuu still shift their grounds for the interest of the people and the masses and the students. Because if your demand is too high, knowing the kind of government we have, that they will live to make unrealistic promises. So if you look at the demand and you can achieve up to 60%, I think you can shield your sword and still continue to pursue instead of shutting down the school system for the interest of the masses. That is my take.
All right, thank you very much for your take. We're wrapping up the program this morning. We may not be able to take more calls, but just before we go, Prof, is Asuu not demanding too much in a time that the federal government is shouting and concerned about the paucity of funds? The federal government is even going out to borrow to sustain the economy. at this time asking for the number of things that you're asking for? Is Asuu not asking for too much?
Thank you very much. As a union, we don't only just ask, we
Yes.
also suggest. In that agreement we have reached that they are going to sign, we have put in there how this issue can be resolved. If the funds are well collected, let me give you an example. Anytime you make a call, anytime you send a message or make a, what do you call it? They charge you.
SMS.
They charge you.
Okay. Yes.
Is it
you're
not?
correct? Very correct.
Anytime you buy anything anywhere, they charge you stamp duty
Yes.
for anything you buy. And we are saying if you give a percentage of this money to fund your education, you have resolved the problem. It's not coming from government. That's what we do with TED fund. We say all over the world, when Obafemi Awolowo was prime minister of the Southwest, he was giving 30% of the budget to education because of the need, because of the fact that education is number one. And that time everything was free. You had development, but 6-7%. And the whole world, the recommended way by budget by UNESCO is 26%, and you are giving 6. You are not setting your priority right. They were going to renovate Senate building in Abuja, and they're spending 36 billion to renovate building, and you are giving 30 billion to all the universities in this country. And when you go and look at the impact, it's very heavy in the university. So is renovating a Senate building more important than renovating universities? How much do we spend? How much do we spend on traveling abroad in the country, funded by the government? If you really don't travel, what are we doing outside the country? Why?
All right.
If we use that fund, it will. So we have given the avenue. We say give 1% of the first line charge, which is the money they go to share every month.
Yes.
Give 1% to education nationwide. 1%.
It's enough.
Not 2. It's enough to solve all this problem.
All right,
So why do they say there's no fund? If 1% of that money can solve all the problem. At the state level, we say charge your local government to fund education at the state. Ensure that 5% of what go to local government are put aside for funding the local government. With that big money, 5% to fund education, and you would have solved the problem. But they will not. They prefer to travel with it. Prefer to call it as their so-called constituency allowance.
All right, Prof. I want to really appreciate you. Of course, we will definitely connect with you, as this is a developing issue, and we're hoping that you won't go on strike for the sake of the students. And thank you very much, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, for joining us this morning on the platform on Flow FM. I do appreciate you, Prof. Prof is the Asuu National President, of course. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions. The program returns on Wednesday when we bring up another issue right here on this platform, the Flow 94.9 FM. Many thanks to my producer, Samson Eze and Ezine Okoro, and also for you for joining us this morning, and also the guys behind the visuals on our Facebook page. Thank you very much, Solomon and Stanley and Chinedu. Do enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Michael Oni.